Aries, thanks for tuning in to your September of 2014 horoscope. My name is Athen, and this is for Sidereal Astrology. It's different from tropical astrology. To find out your sidereal sign, please check the description down below. Alright, so let's get started. Let's talk about your ruler Mars this month, playing a big role for everybody, Mars is. And of course, this will be especially for you. Mars goes into your 8th house on the 4th. Okay, so coming out of relationships, an emphasis on relationships. You've probably been hearing me talk a lot about relationships in the previous horoscopes. And now is the time when you're going to want to get more meaningful, more real, deeper. And this is where, 8th house is also 2nd of the 7th. Okay, so it has to do with the values, the true values of relationships, or just all values of relationships, really. And the exchanges between the relationships. And usually what is exchanged between relationships is emotions. Okay, so wanting to share yourself, wanting to really dive deep in the relationship, wanting to know more about your partners. Just as all relationships, not just romantic, it's your family members, it's your business partnerships, your friends, all relationships. Now with Saturn there's a lot of discipline. You're wanting to take relationships seriously. Okay, or at least one relationship in particular. Okay, and there's this this disciplined approach to all of this, and you're wanting to do that, and while you're maintaining this disciplined approach, things are getting more intimate and more real. And I think you're seeing that as a sort of payoff from a lot of the hard work that you've been putting into relationships. And so for the remainder of this month, from the 4th onward, wanting the desire to really get really intimate and deeper, and I think you're going to want to. And I think a lot of relationships, when coming from that disciplined approach, a lot of relationships are going to really get serious this month in the 8th. From the 4th onward. Okay, so that's the overall highlight for you. Now, there's a lot of aspects involving Pluto, which is involving your 9th house, which I'll talk about. And the new moon is taking place in your 11th house. So the groups are highlighted, as well as your health and routine. So with the relationship stuff going on, let's now talk about the full moon this month. It's happening in your 11th house, and it's involving relationships. The full moon is happening in Aquarius, which is ruled by Saturn, and Saturn is in your 7th. Wherever the moon is, wherever any planet is, you want to look at what sign it's in, and then where that ruling planet is. And for you, it's in relationships. So there's going to be a culmination here. And again, I think it's linked with what I'm saying about getting deeper, more intimate, sharing yourself more, really diving deep, and exploring yourself more too, also, which is ultimately what it's all about, really. Seeing ourselves in the other person. And around the 8th, when we have this culmination here, a lot of this is going to have to do with your ideals. Okay, with the 11th house is associated with ideals. Your ideals in the relationship. What you expect to, what's the playing field? What do you expect to get from the relationship? What do others expect from you? And in Saturn being in Libra and your 7th house being in Libra, there's always a balance that needs to take place. And the balance is, of course, with yourself. Now, in regards to the 11th in particular, I think this is going to be a culmination of a new inspiration, new motivating factor, new aspiration. And I think it's going to be very healing because we've got Chiron in the 11th house and Neptune in the 11th house as well. So very healing. This could be, a new insight, new intuitive insight. 11th house rules that intuition. New intuitive insight of your relationship, what they mean. But in general, on a much larger scope, it could just mean a time when you want to have fun. 11th house is about being free and going out and enjoying yourself and doing things that are light. Okay, so you're going to want, I think, on the one-on-one level, it's going to be very intimate. But on the same token, there's just lighter in the bigger picture of groups and friends and going out and enjoying yourself, becoming a part of communities. The 11th house is communities, online communities, whatever. So that's highlighted for you, and a culmination there. And again, it's really a calling for you to balance, because then the sun is still in your 5th house. Well, it is in your 5th house when this happens. So it's about really, this month, with the sun and Venus in your 5th house, there's a lot of emphasis on enjoying yourself, a lot of emphasis on enjoyment and creativity too. I think for a lot of you who have a creative talent, it's going to come out this month. Or if it doesn't already, or if you already have it on a regular basis, you're already normally a creative person, then it's gonna be a very especially enjoyable, very especially creative month for you in regards to that. And so it's taking this expressive, this creative aspect of yourself and sharing it with other people. It's what it's really about. And I think you're going to be doing that. A lot of you are going to be joining some new groups, new communities, or at least a different perspective on communities, and meeting people through the communities, which again is what I'm talking about. It might be online community associated with astrology or something esoteric, which is ruled by the 8th house, which is then causing you to get deeper and look at birth charts and really get intimate with the whole situation. Stuff like that. It's going to be different for everybody, but that's the general sort of energy. But overall, it's about enjoying and illuminating that 5th house and that creative spark and that creative energy, especially with Venus there as well. So that's the full moon, and that's really playing the role, groups, relationships for the first half of the month. I'm going to go ahead and jump forward. Let's talk about the second half. We've got the new moon in your 6th house. Okay, and the sun is then going to go into your 6th on the 16th. And at that point, for the second half, the emphasis is really going to be on your self-improvement. And taking a lot of this creative inspiration that you've been getting and putting it into your work, or putting it into something real. Or it could just be a time of you really wanting to get into shape and realizing that if you're feeling good, if you're in good shape, if you're in good health, then it fits in everywhere. It fits in with the big picture, the relationships and everything. So that's the emphasis. And so the new moon around the 6th is always a sort of intuition and insight, feeling it, and new beginnings. And starting the new beginning in regards to your health, okay, and your craft and your work. I'm looking at the chart, and I have a feeling a lot of you, this is involving, the creative side of things. Perhaps wanting to start a new project, new creative, or realizing a new creative skill you didn't have before. Now you realize you have it. And feeling good about it. So the second half is more of the refinement of the energies, taking the creative energies from the first half of the month, and then making them refine, making them into something. It's like, yeah, we can be creative. Like I can imagine how to draw something. But then when I go to actually draw it, that's the 6th house. That's the second half. So actually putting it into something real. And that's the transition for you this month from the 5th to the 6th. And I think, again, it's going to be very deep, very meaningful, that Mars in the 8th house. Now let's talk about Pluto. Pluto's playing a very big role this month. He's going station direct. He's been retrograde since April 15th. And this has been in your 9th house. So your life path, your direction, in the big picture has been changing a lot. Changing your direction a lot. And since April, things have maybe slowed down in regards to that, or you've learned a lot, because the retrograde can be maybe easing up off the gas pedal a little bit, or it could also be like learning just through the experience. Through the experience of this changing of your path over the past few months, many months, you've seen it. You've been able to see your path. Now you're learning about it. Okay, and for most of you watching this, that's continuing to be the case. You're still learning when Pluto's retrograde. Then when Pluto goes direct on the 22nd, later on in the month, goes station, completely comes to a stop, and then goes direct. That's when the lessons are learned and you're ready. You're ready to then put all these lessons learned into your path. Your new path, your changing path, and the path that has to do with transformation with Pluto. Everyone's path is changing with Pluto and Sagittarius, and especially for you, Aries. Your path is changing constantly. So it's about going with the flow, not becoming too attached. Remember, we don't get to take anything to the afterlife. Everything we're experiencing now is transient, so just enjoying the path in one step at a time in the present moment. And that's the experience. And that's helping you create those positive changes. And there is a lot of positive energy going into that, a lot of positive aspects involving the Sun, Venus, and such with Pluto this month. So a lot of positive energy going into your path. All right? And let's not forget, Jupiter, who rules your 9th house, is in your 4th house. Okay? So let's talk about that. First of all, in regards to your path, it's crazy because it's like karmic, right? At least it has been for the past almost the past 5 months, 6 months. It's been karmic because it's the past, the 4th house, associated with early childhood or just earlier times and past lives. So a lot of connections. I mean, there's a lot of relationships. A lot of you are having soulmate connections right now. You know, I don't mean romantic, just people you feel like you've known forever. And they're playing a role in your work, in your business, in all areas of your life. Your family life is expanding. Okay? But, you know, this can also mean a home. A lot of you are changing locations, but enjoying it and expanding your horizons. Realizing that your inner temple is inside. And so your path is becoming more rooted, more grounded this year with Jupiter in that 4th house. It's the bottom of the chart. It has to do with foundation. And with the 9th house ruler in that 4th house, your path is becoming more stabilized. And every single time something leaves your path that's no longer serving you, it's making those roots go deeper and stronger and anchor yourself deeper on your path. And that's going to continue this month, again, with a lot of that positive energy. Now, speaking of Jupiter, though, I do want to mention in regards to a lot of this expansion that's happening in your 4th house area, you've also got, well, we've all got a trine taking place between Jupiter, Uranus in your 12th house, and Mars in your 8th house, a grand trine. It's not going to be a grand trine until next month, but this month, Jupiter and Uranus will have their trine on the 25th. So there's a lot of changes to your spirituality, okay? And at the end of this month, a sense of freedom. You have been there's been a lot of changes to your spirituality, which is helping you become more free. You know, maybe it's you know, I don't know, maybe it's just being present or tapping into your higher self, tapping into your true unique self is just making you feel better. And this month is going to be no exception. And it's really highlighted. On the 25th, we're all going to feel free. And for you, it's going to be a sense of spiritual freedom. And also, home freedom, 4th house freedom, path freedom, with Jupiter in there. So your path and everything is all this is culminating into you at the end of the month and into October, feeling more free and abundant in regards to all of this. And again, more anchored, embodying your true self. Now, next month in October, Mars will then go into aspect with this grand trine. And you'll be feeling it towards the end of this month too, that this is all going towards your transformation and into more meaningful, and your relationships are going to tie into this. And how your relationships, and everything you've been working on in regards to your relationships is all tied into you becoming more free and all this positivity going on in your 4th house of your home, your family, and also your past. A lot of you are uncovering your past. I think maybe through uncovering your past, you might find out more about who you really are. And that's liberating. Stuff like that. So that's at the end of the month. Now, let me make sure I cover everything. I think I did cover everything. Talked about Mars. Talked about the 6th house. That's it. All right, Aries, thanks for tuning in. If you'd like a personal reading, please get in touch. This is just where the planets are in the sky. If you'd like to see how these planets are aspecting your personal planets, please get in touch for a personal reading. All right, Aries, have a good month. Thanks for watching.